If you've ever killed a houseplant before, it's probably because of one of two reasons. And we're going to go back to your third grade science class when you learned that all plants require light and water. And if I had to guess, I would say 95% of houseplants that die didn't get the right amount of either light or water. So first of all, let's talk about light. You've got to remember that our houses are designed to try and keep harsh sunlight out because we don't want all of that ultraviolet radiation coming into our homes and making our air conditioners work really hard. So houses are going to have overhangs over the windows, and they're going to have windows that have been treated with UV coating to try and keep that radiation outside. So even a bright spot in a house, such as a south-facing window, isn't nearly as bright as direct sunlight outside. And that's why most houseplants really don't get enough light. When you think about these houseplants that are growing in a greenhouse where they're getting tons and tons of light, and then you transition those into a home where they're maybe far away from a window or they're on a north-facing window that doesn't get direct sunlight, it's just not enough light for a lot of plants. So you've got to make sure that you are picking the right plant for the right spot in your house, depending on the different light levels that are within your home. Now, if you've gotten the lighting right for your plant, you could still kill it by getting the watering wrong. So there's a thing called overwatering and there's a thing called underwatering, but there is confusion within those terms. So overwatering does not talk about the amount of water that you use to water your plants with. It really is more about the frequency of which you water your plants. The goal when you water any plant, whether it is a begonia or it's a succulent, is to get the entire root zone wet. You want to make sure that all the soil and all the roots get wet whenever you water that plant. Because if you only water the top half of the soil by just adding a little bit of water on top, then all of these roots down here aren't ever going to get water and they're going to end up dying off and your plant's going to suffer. Now the difference comes whenever you are talking about the type of plant. A succulent wants to be thoroughly watered just like a monstera or a begonia, but the succulent also wants to have a dry period where the soil and roots get completely dry in between watering. Whereas something like a calathea doesn't want to get completely dry ever. They want to have a little bit of moisture in the soil at all times, but not be soggy, sopping wet all the time. Because that would be overwatering, would be if you had watered every day and you're just keeping the soil where it's fully saturated so that the airflow is not able to get down into all the pockets of the soil. So yeah, learn about the light and water requirements for your plants and you're gonna have probably a 95% success rate at keeping them alive. So what's that other 5% that kills plants? Those are going to be things like maybe pests or temperatures. Say you leave that plant outside whenever it gets too cold in the fall and don't bring it in. So go back, remember those third grade lessons and apply them for your houseplant keeping.